Damen und Herren, señoras y señores, this is my English version of my very popular Spanish language class on how to read the tarot. And this is my introduction video. This is my introductory video where I'm going to discuss, first of all, who am I and why I'm doing this. So let's start at the beginning. My name is Robin Kazmarczyk. This is my home office home. It's called Tarot del Pulpo. It's in Valle de Bravo, Mexico. And I've been reading cards for 11 years professionally and some 20 odd years as a hobby. So I got some experience on this subject matter. I opened this shop in 2002. I've had three different shops, three different locations for the shop. I've moved around, but in the same town, so it's all the same clients and the same stuff. I have a very successful business as a tarot reader. I wouldn't tell you that I'm not successful. I've got clients all day in, all day out. I charge very little. I charge in Mexico, here in the town, I charge 20 pesos, the equivalent of about $2. That's the introductory price. So you get in the door, you read a few cards. Usually the final price for the reading is around $10, which is 100 pesos, a bit under $10. And I have clients all day long. So I won't complain, I'm doing fine. The reason I'm doing this video is because I did the video in Spanish, kind of like to learn a little bit more about what I'm doing, and I put it on YouTube, and suddenly I had people from Spain, I had people from Argentina, I had people from all over the world, Spanish-speaking world, signing up at my Facebook account and on my Skype account to have readings via Facebook and Skype. So I'm now reaching out to the English-speaking audience with all my kindness and all my good wishes for English speakers all over the world, to see if they are interested in the same services that I'm providing for the Spanish-speaking audience. So, that said, how to read the tarot. The tarot is an ancient adivinatory tool. The first official tarot decks appear in Spain and in Italy around the 14th century, and there's two different trains of history. That one say it was the Visconti Sorsa deck, which was first discovered, and one say that it was the Marseille deck, which was first discovered. Both theories are valid. Both theories are perfectly legitimate. We don't really know because we were not there, and history is always written by the vanquished, by the victors. So we can't really tell you if it was one way or the other. What we do know is that in Egypt, some of the figures of the major arcana are scribed in hieroglyphics in the walls of the temples and the pyramids. And also in India, there are many depictions of some of these figures, which also take place. The people that most have used the tarot historically are the gypsies. The gypsies have a Hindu origin. They come from India originally. They are like Hindu. They're tied into they're like explorers and nomads from the Hindu valley, and certainly they've been all over the world by now. Of course, the royal families in Europe all had their decks, their secret decks. The church, the Catholic Church, the 14th century, when the tarot became very popular, put a big ban on it and try to shut it down and make it disappear. They couldn't do that. So they started to propagate the myth that the tarot, or the possible reality that the tarot was actually invented by the devil. And because it is a gambling game, it's a game, a luck game. It is forbidden by most religious sects and most religious books on top. If you read the Vedas, they're not very happy about gambling. If you go into the Bible and the Quran, they're also not very happy about gambling. So certainly, gambling your destiny on the tarot deck has a very kind of like taboo aspect to it. It makes people suspicious of you immediately. When you read the cards, you are, black magic, wizardry, sorcery, all that stuff comes to mind. And I've been doing it for many years, so I'm kind of used to it by now. I accept it as part of what it is. But in the ancient tradition of witchcraft, do as will the whole the law, which is of the Ordo Templi Orientis, if I remember correctly. I tend to take the opinion of the other rule in witchcraft, which is so that it harm none, do as you will. And the purpose of the tarot readings that I do is not to harm, but to help and to give people options and to give people, information that maybe they would not be able to get otherwise. The real fact of the matter is that in the 11 years that I've been reading this professionally, I've found missing children, I found murderers, I found rapists, I found dead people. The tarot has a real magic to it, and the police occasionally have consulted with me, and occasionally I've been able to help them too. So it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty amazing, and I hope to be able to do it many more years. The world didn't end in 2012, and that kind of surprised me because I was really expecting kind of a psychedelic apocalypse or a zombie apocalypse or something. It didn't happen. So here I am still reading my cards, and Jesus didn't come down, and all the preachers are saying that it is the end times and the last pope, which is Francis, and all that stuff. I'm gonna take a real slow view on that. I'm not gonna say yay or nay. Certainly, if you read the Bible, you will see that the Bible prophecies are all coming true, one by one. But they have come through historically many times. So, gotta take it with a grain of salt. And at the same time, take the good out of it. Take the good stuff from it, not out of it, from it. That's a Freudian slip, isn't it? Anyways, reading the tarot for 25, 30 years in my life, 11 of those professionally here in Mexico, and we're going to do this tarot reading class in English for you guys that don't speak Spanish or that don't have the benefit of being able to understand what I say in the other shows on this same YouTube channel for the Spanish speakers. And what else do I need to say about myself in all this? Well, just a word of caution. Reading the cards, people come up to my office, many of them call me doctor. And because I feel like a witch doctor, I don't feel too bad about, treating them. But people will come with various conditions and various problems that need to be shifted to the correct authority. I'll give you an example. I had a pregnant woman come into my office about 4 years ago. She was about to give birth, So my mom was there. Thankfully, we had a car back then. We rushed her into the hospital, infinite number of cases of women that have been beaten by their husbands, I direct them to the police. the authorities. If you read cards professionally and you open a shop, you will have people with all types of problems, very serious problems, depending on you to get them out of there, to get them out of harm's way. There's two types of tarot readers: scam artists and good Samaritans. The scam artists will use these people and will try to get out of them whatever they can get. That's a no-no. I don't know if you guys believe in karma, but I do. I don't even, it's not even karma, it's just common sense. You harm people, people will harm you back. You help people, people will help you. So you want to try to be as good to your clients and take it as serious their problems as you can, And I would say the vast majority of your clients, you will not be able to help them directly. You will have to take them to the right authority. And that's the secret of a good tarot reader. Okay? You need to be able to say to yourself, I'm going to help these people. These people are my clients because they need help. And after they leave your shop, you need to feel that you've done good, that you've done something good for them, that you've actually managed to help them out along the way. Oddly enough, a good tarot reader is a homebreaker automatically, because 7 out of 10 clients will be wanting to know if their spouse or their partner is, cheating on them. And if they are, it'll show in the cards, and you have to be able to tell people that with a straight face and not, worry about the consequences. And yes, you will break homes. You will destroy homes, And if you do it correctly, you will do it to help them, not to harm them. And that's another one. You're going to carry karma. The spiritual master, my mother's spiritual master, spiritual guide, Paramabheti Swami, says that tarot reading is karma kanda, which means that you are absorbing other people's karma into your own karma and getting them, kind of a free karma card. That costs. The basic fact is that if you're a good tarot reader, you realize right away, maybe not so right away, that tarot is, strictly speaking, a spiritualist work. It is spiritism, which means good and evil spirits will be in your shop at all times trying to help and harm your clients. And you have to be able to distinguish between the good spirits and the bad spirits. And the good spirits will be truthful, and the bad spirits will be lying. And that's the job. That's your job. Your job is it's a form of necromancy. You got to be able to handle the spirits. I tend to use certain substances like peyote and mushrooms and ayahuasca to go into the spirit realms and try to sort them all out. Don't know if I recommend that to you guys, because you guys are gringos, and gringos tend to be kind of fresa. But even if you're not too fresa, you got to be careful with that too, because if you spend too much time in the realm of the spirits, sometimes you find some pretty nasty operators. And I'll talk more about that later, because this is just the introduction. I just want to give you guys an idea of what I'm doing here and what I'm going to be able to share with you. And let's go now into the tarot deck. This is my work deck. This is my handy dandy tarot deck. This is about a year old. As you can see, it is covered in cloth. The cloth is to prevent the spirits from entering when you're not in use. You're not going to use it. You don't want the spirits to be touching it. You don't want the spirits to be, handling it. So you cover it in a cloth, and that, tarot reading, palmistry, crystal balls, all that stuff handles a lot of very hallucinogenic, kind of like, black cats not crossing the the stairs on the street. Well, it's based on a bunch of very practical but very odd little beliefs. So this is one of them. It works for me, so I keep doing it. You cover your tarot deck in this cloth. You open it up like this. Open it up like this. Open it up like this. And like this. And here we go. I'm not going to make an ad for the Rider White deck, but I am going to make an ad for the Rider White deck because there is no better tarot deck. I've spoken with various tarot readers, and the most serious of them, the ones that are most into it, the ones that know their shit, will have to go with the Rider. The Marseille, the Visconti, they're very nice, but they don't have little drawings of what the frack is going on. So you want to be able to show people in your office what the card is saying, and this deck will do the job because the images on this deck are very clear. I'll give you an example. Okay, let's just go with the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords. Well, we got a little crown and a laurel and a hand in victory. Victory, you know, it shows you what it is. That's another example. Queen of Wands. Well, that's not very clear. Well, yeah, you get a little black cat over there, so she is kind of like, you know, and the wands, and she's got a little sunflower. She's kind of a sweet little girl, you know, sweet gal. She's not a bad person, you know. You can tell right away. You can tell right away with the Rider White. You can tell right away what's going on. We'll go much more deeper into the symbols of each card as we progress in this class, but I just want to show you that the symbols on the Rider deck are very clear, they're very precise, they don't leave a lot of room for interpretation, and I like that because if you have your client in front of you looking for their lost child, or you know, wanting to know if their husband was murdered, you want to be able to show them a card that shows the death card as it is, or the Ten of Swords, or something that really shows what's going on. And this deck does the job. What do we know about the Rider White deck, which is the one that I use? We know that it was created by a couple of a man and a woman, a Rider and White, and they're OTO, Ordo Templi Orientis infused. They're from that, you know. They probably call them Illuminati by now, but they're just, you know, mysticism from Blavatsky and the old school mystics of Europe, Crowley, McMathers, whatever his name is. All these cats, basically, what my dad told me about these cats is they're soup from the soup. These guys went to India. They figure out the whole yogic system of illumination. They brought it back to Europe and they put it under, you know, kind of like a mystical, new agey show. But they're all coming from the Indus Valley. They're all going back to India and getting that knowledge out of there. The Vedas, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, and they're getting that knowledge back into the hands of people. If we take that knowledge seriously, we have to deduce that in the prehistory, before the flood, there was one world kingdoms, and they were, you know, very powerful, and they had wars between them, and those wars caused people to go astray and forget the real knowledge. So I'm not going to go into that right now, but I just want to guys to know that this deck, particularly the Rider White deck, and you can go into Google. If you have any questions about what I'm talking about, just go into Google and Google it. Don't ask me questions that you can Google yourself. That's one of the, I always tell that to my clients. This deck is infused with Eastern mysticism from the Ordo Templi Orientis, Blavatsky and all those cats, and their symbols work. And I'm not going to go into why they work, I'm just going to say it works. Alright? If it works, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Alright? So, alright, now, let's introduce on how I learned to read the cards. And this is the only and most important lesson that I'm going to give you on how to read the cards. First of all, you get a bazooka and you shoot the guy that's trying to sell gas outside. That's the most important part. No, forget that. First thing is you got to separate your deck into two decks. Oops. Pause time. Alright, so what I was saying, you need to break your deck into two decks. One is the major arcana, one is the minor arcana. The difference between a regular deck of cards and a tarot deck is the major arcana. Major arcana is the nuts and bolts, the juice, the meat and potatoes of the deck. It is what sets it off as serious magical work. Now, I consider the major arcana a kind of jigsaw puzzle, or a puzzle of some type. It's like a map, and it's a map of the progress of the soul. I'll go into that in a second. But what I want you to get the idea is that there is a way, or there is a form of reading the major arcana, or placing the major arcana, that opens a gate into the realm of the spirit. And that gate is kind of like the transcendence of man. You want to transcend. We don't want to stay stuck in the duality of mankind, in the realm of duality. So what I'm doing right now, I'll show you. What I'm doing right now is separating the major arcana from the minor arcana. The minor arcana has four suits: wands, swords, cups, and coins, or pentacles that are also called. Funny word, that pentacle word. Anyways, major arcana, well, it has ties to the Kabbalistic tree of life of the Kabbalah. It has ties to the it has a lot of different associations, not one symbol, but various symbols of various things that are associated with it. And we're going to try to go into that too. Okay, so 22 cards of the major arcana, which are these here, versus 56 cards of the minor arcana, which are these. We're going to put our minor arcana away so it doesn't confuse us, and then I'm going to introduce to you what I consider to be the progression of the soul in these cards. So I'll go real quickly through all of them once, and then we're going to discuss from the Fool to the High Priestess, 3 cards, and I'm going to do it in 3 cards. Originally I have to do it in 1 card per video, but that's sorted out into many months of work for the Spanish version of this class, and I want to do the English version a little bit faster, so we're going to do it a little bit faster. I've already given you the introduction. Now we're going to go into the cards themselves, and what I wanted you to get is that there is a progression, a kind of progressive understanding of what's going on. Okay? Now, before I go into that, I want to talk to you about how to learn to read the tarot. My father, who was a dealer in Vegas for many years, and he became a disciple of Privilatinide Khan later on, and he studied all types of stuff. He wanted to make a movie about Aleister Crowley, and well, my dad, my padre, gave me one tarot class one time, and the class he gave me was as follows. I needed to take one card from the major arcana and put it in a little altar in a little work study place or something like that, and sit in quiet meditation 45 minutes after I woke up and 45 minutes before going to bed, silently observing the card for 1 month. Now there are 22 cards, that's 22 months worth of work. That's a lot of work. The silent meditation that we practiced in my house was zazen. That means you sit with your back straight. You show you the hand position. You put your hands kind of like this, one palm with the other. Thumbs almost touching, but not really. Your back straight. You can sit cross-legged if you can. I can't because I have a condition that doesn't permit it. But your back is straight. Your neck is straight. Your eyes are not necessarily closed, but they are relaxed. Lids relaxed. And in regular zazen, you're going to watch a wall. You're going to sit in front of a wall, an empty wall, and you're going to try to empty your mind. In the tarot zazen exercise, which is what my dad showed me, you're going to put the card in front of you, about this distance of it sideways, about this distance from you, so you can see the card and not not take your eyes off it. You're going to try to just penetrate the card. 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes at night. No moving, no cheating, not going off to the bathroom or answering the phone. Just sitting in quiet meditation, facing each major arcana for 1 month. I can guarantee you that after that exercise, you will learn how to read cards. It's a year and 10 months worth of work. I did it. I ask all my students to do it. If they do it faithfully, I consider them my apprentices and my students. If they don't do it, why even bother, right? The cards will start to speak. They'll start to move. They'll start to shape. They'll start to move. You'll open doorways. So, that's all I'm going to say about that exercise. If you don't do it, may as well turn this video off and forget about reading the cards, because you won't be able to do it correctly. Okay. Now, having said that, my discoveries on the tarot are as follows. This card, which is the most important of all of them, represents the soul when it descends into a human body with no intentions, no purposes, no nothing. Zero card appears in all the other cards. Then you go into, that's the Fool, obviously. And he's a fool because he doesn't have an intention. Intentionality, the soul figures out that it has to do something, and the magician is the one that is manifesting his destiny as a soul, entering into karma. The fool has no karma. He doesn't have to worry about karma because he's a pure soul. Okay? Magician realizes that he is a male force, a kind of like a force of manifestation. He wants to be a female force. He wants to discover the female secrets of what is going on, and he becomes a high priestess. Then he recognizes as a high priestess that he is a half of something else. The Empress needs an emperor. Where's the emperor? I should have sorted him out. Here we go. Where is the emperor? There we go. The Empress needs their emperor. he's progressing into another body that teaches another lesson of what it means to be human. Okay? Emperor says, enough about duality, I want to go back to God. High priest. But there's a little detail for the high priest, which is that he forgets about love, and he has to remember the carnality of mankind, the fact that man is a carnal animal. He loves to love. After learning to love, you get the idea that you have to move around and see more things. Okay? And then, when you're moving around like a gypsy, you fall into the hands of justice. You fall into the hands of Frank. Lions, and you learn how to be strong, how to be morally strong. Anyways, I'm not going to go into all of them. I think I'm going to just do those. Get the idea that there's a progression of the human soul, which, oddly enough, you know where it's going to end? Right here. You end where you begin. The ending is the beginning. When you get that idea, you get the idea also that once you actually learn the secrets of this card, the whole tarot deck is going to open up to you, and the entire universe is going to open up to you, because it's the most important card there is the one that has all the secrets in it. It's the one that is going to teach you all the secrets. It is the one that is the most difficult to understand too, because he's crazy. Okay? Alright. That's the end of the introduction to how to read the cards. Now let's go into each individual card. I'm going to do 3 cards today, and let you guys decide what to do with the information yourselves. Okay? Please keep in mind that until you actually have an experience, kind of like a transcendent experience with the cards yourselves, you won't be able to read the cards really well, because you won't know what's going on. You won't get the joke. You need to go into the cards to become the cards, to be part of the cards, to let the cards speak. Alright. As I mentioned before, the most important card, the card that has all the secrets, all the stuff, is the Fool. This card right here. Number 0, invented by the Mayans and the Phoenicians. Phoenicians had 0? I don't remember. Anyways, the Mayans had it. Europeans forgot the 0 for a long time. They're not very smart. 0, the Fool. The pure soul that has no intention, no clarity, no purpose, no way, no... I spent about 9 months in a Zen monastery in Colorado, Mountain Zen Center in Colorado, under the auspicious guidance of Baker Roshi, Richard Baker Roshi, the abbot there, the monastery. All the monks were trying to reach this place, this space. It's what they call beginner's mind. And the beginner's mind is a baby. It's a child with no intentions, no purposes, no conception of good and evil, no prejudices, no taboos, nothing. 0. 0 the Fool. Oddly enough, in our world of dualities, being the Fool can be extremely dangerous, because the Fool, as you can see, stepping very close to the cliff of a chasm where he can fall and kill himself if he doesn't get the idea that he can't fly. And he doesn't know he can't fly. Maybe that's why he can fly. Also, There's a little devil in the fool's way, which is a little dog, white dog. He'll appear. That little white dog will appear in many other places, showing us many other secrets. It is not coincidental that Cerberus is the guardian of hell, and he's a two-headed dog, gigantic two-headed dog, signifying duality. Well, the fool has a kind of like, I don't want to say adversary, because he doesn't even get that it's an adversary, but he's got this little dog kind of nipping at his heels, making him react, making him act. Nobody wants a dog to bite your pant legs or your butt. So the fool is reacting to something, but look where his head is. He's looking at the clouds. He's looking upstairs. He's got a little flower, the same color as the dog, which means that he does like some things. Some things grab his attention, but they are superfluous, sort of like things without great importance, without direction, without purpose. They're just things that grab his attention, things that make him want to react, things that make him react, either for or in favor of or against the duality. The fool, because he is a fool, has fallen into the world of duality, and look at who's looking down on him. The sun. The sun is, literally speaking, God. And here let me just say a little word about the sun. The all-seeing eye on the dollar bill, the eye of Horus, all those, Illuminati stuff guys that are saying that it's the devil and this and that, and, Odin, the eye of Odin. Oh, it's just the sun, get it? The sun and the moon, the two eyes of the universe, looking down on us all day long, all night long. The night eye closes and winks, and that's why they wink the eye now and then. And the sun eye is always open. It's just, the Muslims speak about the Dajjal being one-eyed. Well, obviously, in a world of dualities, God takes two forms, one that is good and one that is bad. The sun and the moon. Alright? But our objective as magicians, or our objective as enlightened beings, or our objective as beings of light, is to get beyond those dualities, get beyond good and evil, go into the realm of pure spirit. You cannot accuse a tiger of being an assassin. Okay? A tiger eats sheep. A wolf eats sheep. A sheep gets eaten by the wolf. There is no good and evil about it. It's just what is. When you get that, there are wolves amongst men and sheep amongst men. And it is not that you're one or the other. You can have aspects of both sides. And all men have both aspects in them that can be awakened or asleep. But it is not important to consider them as wolf or sheep, because that puts you back in what realm? The realm of the fool, the realm of duality. Okay? So the sun is simply the active, creative principle of God, as we'll study in the other cards. Death is the other passive, let's say destructive principle of God. Now, you can't really discuss these things without having a little bit of understanding of the Vedas, the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, because in those books you realize reality is actually split into three options, or three parts, or is created by three energies. Tamaraja Guna. Three gunas. Tamaraja. Ignorance, compassion, and passion, or kindness and passion. And all three things are illusory. They're fantasious. They are make-believe. They are not the reality. The reality is beyond all three things, all those three things. In ignorance, we think the unreal to be real. In passion, we get attached to the results of our actions. In compassion, we try to save all the other beings from perdition. All things have a certain value. All things put you in a certain realm, demonic, angelic, or what do you call the middle realm. But all those three things are actually aspects of the illusion of Mahamaya, the great illusion of reality that we are being subjected to by our detachment from the source, which is God. Okay? So the fool becomes the fool when he detaches himself from the sun, which is God. The sun is the source of his foolishness because he is no longer in the sun or part of the sun or the sun itself, but under the sun. He's under the eye of Horus. He's under the quality of being subject to life and death. And here is another little principle that we must all learn at some point or another in our quest to return to God, which is that in the human condition, and the fool is definitely a human being, he is not a dog, he is not a cat, he is a human being. In the human condition, there are three certainties, and the Buddha is the one that came up with this. First certainty is old age. None of us is going to escape it. Second certainty, with old age comes sickness. Third certainty, with sickness comes death. And you get those three things, you get the moment you decide to take on a human body, you will suffer old age, sickness, and death. And the fool, for all his efforts not to suffer those indignities, will have to pass through them at some point in life. Okay? Now, as far as when you have a client in front of you and you want to talk to him about what is the fool, what's going on with the fool, who is the fool? Well, look, they say a crazy person is the one that is able to do what nobody else is willing to or daring to do. It's the most daring person. It can be for good or ill. It can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. The fool certainly is in danger. He's an endangered species because his foolishness is an endangered element of his personality. No baby is going to remain a baby after 4 or 5 years of age. Fool. There's people that are professional fools. They go into life wanting to remain children, like Zen monks. The fool will have to face reality sooner or later. Sooner or later, he's going to have to either kick the dog or move out his way. He's going to have to make sure he doesn't fall on the cliff. Stop looking at the sky. Get some decent clothes on. So if your client, let's say your client comes into your store and he doesn't want to know any questions in particular, he just wants to know what's going on with him. He pulls the foolish card, the fool card. First thing you can tell him is, you know what, you got to settle down. You got to bring your thoughts into cohesive order. You have to figure out where you are, who you are, and what you're doing. There's a presidential candidate, I don't remember when, that said in front of the cameras, really old guy, "Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing?" It was the funniest thing. Anyways, the client that has the fool card is the person that needs to settle down. The person that needs to land his airship. Okay? Any more questions about the fool? You guys got to figure out for yourselves. This video is not going to go into it, but you can also contact me and I'll try to help you out. Alright, now let's go into card number 2. The Magician. First of all, that little symbol on top of his head, that's not an 8, that's infinity, and that signifies his capacity to touch or reach the infinite consciousness that is represented in the Fool as the Sun, or God. The magician has all the tools available to him to do his own will, which is signified by this little finger here, this little finger right there. That little finger is the one that tells us, I shall make this happen. Like Captain Picard, make it so. And it happens. Magician is the person that is manifesting hands, mano a mano, hands, manifesting his destiny or his will upon his mother, the earth, his mother life, his mother death. Okay? So he's causing the earth to have fruits, flowers in this case. It looks like roses. Yeah, they're roses. And little other things over there. Those lirios, they call them in Spanish, the white ones. Anyways, this cat is making these things happen by his will. Now, here is a very interesting part of what this cat's doing. He's got a candle lit on two ends, pointing upward, which means the candle representing, again, the sun, God, light, energy, source, is lit on top and lit on the bottom because he is expending the energy of life, which is what the candle represents. The time you light the candle dies. It represents the human life that goes closer and closer and closer to death. So when you light it on both ends, as the magician is doing, he is using his energy to dominate the universe and create what he wants out of it. Very dangerous proposition. The magician is clad in red, the red cape, and white. And the white represents the purity, which the Fool doesn't really have, does he? His undergarments are pure, but his outer garments are all sorry because he chose a human life. But the magician is clad in purity. He is looking straight at us, which means that he knows what he's doing. He's no fool. He is no fool. The magician is no fool. There you go. There's certain things in English language that you can't really say in Spanish. I don't know. It's weird. On the table, which represents his workspace, which represents his realm of influence, we see four things. We see a cup, a sword, a wand, and a pentacle or a coin, representing the four elements, which are, he's a master of the four elements. He masters over the four elements, and over the fifth, which is the thing on top of his head. And look at his belt. His belt, if you look really closely, is the Ouroboros, is a serpent eating its own tail. In this case, two serpents eating each other, but they're tied in like that. Ouroboros is a symbol of alchemical eternity. The magician is an eternal being. He will always refresh himself. He will always be reborn as the magician. Okay? The four elements represented by the four tools on his desk represent his dominion over these things, and the fact that he can use them to whatever ends he wishes. Now, the very interesting thing of the magician, he's neither good or evil. He is a magician. He is a person who manifests his will over everything. The Druids of old, who dressed in white and who had red capes and a lot of the stuff that is going in there, considered themselves above ordinary mortals because of the knowledge that had been transmitted to them verbally by other druids. Knowledge, as we all know, is power, and the magician is the master of knowledge. Now, a person comes into your office, they want to know what's going on in their lives, you pull out the magician card. Who is this person? Well, he's Bill Gates, or he is, Carlos Slim, or he is some really powerful, rich, intensely successful person that is going to have successful events occurring in his or her life. He is the guy that gets shit done. And this is always a card that represents success. Now here is another little warning. A whole lot of tarot readers go into a whole lot of trouble to determine whether the card is upside down, or right side up. Now here's the secret. It doesn't matter. Why? Hold on a second, please. Lots of interruptions in my store, but that's okay. We'll try to keep this a little shorter. This is going up on 51 minutes. I think 1 hour is about right for the first introductory video on how to read the tarot. Okay. Last elements of the magician that we should look into, symbolically speaking. Just when you pull out the card and somebody wants to know if they're going to have X, success in something or something, it's always a yes. All cards have some very specific and definite values that you have to watch out for. Yes, no, a numerical value, positive, negative result. Okay, so as far as the Fool is concerned, it's a no. It's a caution, stop, don't do it. Numerical value is 0, immediate result. Magician, obviously, it's a yes. Numerical value is 1. 1 could be 1 month, 1 week, 1 hour. January, which is the first month of the week, the first day of any week, etc., etc., etc. Okay. And if it's a yes or a no, it's a yes. And again, I don't worry about whether it's upside down or right side up. That's just all wives' tales. It's not necessary to do that. And the final card for today, the last card in this lesson, my particular favorite, the High Priestess. She's high, man. She's really high, man. She's a High Priestess, yeah. Alright, High Priestess. Hello, Isis. Hecate Astarte. My favorite form of the High Priestess is the Virgin of Guadalupe. If you notice in the Virgin of Guadalupe, she has a half moon under her feet. She's pregnant. She's got a crown on her head. She has a mantle of stars on her. She's clothed in stars with the sun on her. She's the figure that is in the Bible as the woman that is clothed with the sun. The virgin. She's not really a virgin. She's pregnant. Man, there is so much to discuss on this card because this is the central figure of the mystery religions. It's the central figure. Well, I'll just give you one of the forms that she takes in India when she's pissed off. Kali, who can be Durga, who can be Lakshmi, goddess of luck. I want you to have an idea of how many different forms she has. I've gone into great detail discussing the High Priestess as a figure. This is Lakshmi Devi. Oh, she's beautiful there, isn't she? I love this. This is so beautiful. I've gone into great deal of trouble and great deal of detail to discuss just this figure right here of the cards. And she is the personification of the mother goddess. Gracias. Gracias. Food time. She's the personification of the mother goddess. Have you guys ever had a torta before? It's the most delicious thing in the world. With your permission, but I'm going to have a bite because I'm hungry. Usually before eating, I give thanks. And since I work in a tarot shop, I give thanks to the deity that is, most close to my type of work. That would be Lord Shiva, Om Namo Shivaya. And good appetit. The pillars. A lot of people ask me about the pillars. Joaquim and Boaz. Check them out in Google them, Wikipedia them. This is just basic yin and yang duality shit. No big deal there. The main important thing of this figure of the High Priestess is that she's your mother goddess. She is the chaste woman, because in this card she is a virgin, she's a priestess, the word virgin originally meant priestess. They were the priestesses of Diana and of Venus. Venus, obviously the morning star associated with Lucifer. Funny that Lucifer should be a woman, right? But this card here, the moon is the key to understand who she is. The moon, because it's Venus. Venus is high on the... Every tarot card... Hold on a second. Man, I wanted to discuss the High Priestess, and just a load of clients came in, a lot of work, and suddenly I was... And the inspiration that I had about talking about her, well, it just changed. But, it's... just look, I'm gonna redo the High Priestess on the next video to go a little bit more in depth on her, because I want to put this out there in the world, and but I want to do a second video on the High Priestess, so you guys will have to excuse me. I just want to show you how seriously I take her. So here, take a look at this. Quatliquetonantzin, Gaia, Mother Earth. If you want to learn really the significance of this card, I urge you to watch my video, Saint Death Explained, which is on my channel. And I'll just leave you with a little image of her in her angry Kali form. So you have an idea that you can't mess with her, but that she's also your mother and that she's wise. And that she is present in every single woman you've ever met. She is literally the wisdom of women personified. So in a yes or no situation for the tarot, it's a yes. The numerical value is 2. The union of masculine and feminine secrets, the ultimate card for woman. Anyways, that's the end of the first lesson. I'll speak a little bit more about the High Priestess maybe tomorrow night or one of these mornings. I like to do it in the morning. Less work. little bit late to be doing this video now. So I wish you the best. The God's blessings for you, and we'll catch you in the next How to Read the Tarot. Have a good day.